I joined at the end of March with supposedly 250,000 people from around the world communicating in a Discord, the 5-day Gen AI intensive course in a platform called Kaggle, which is a really intriguing learning platform. And each day of 5 days, we had content, I will say, dumped on us. And each day, my mind blew. There were things that I didn't realize that I've been building and doing with AI tools, but I didn't know the whys. I'm going to put some of the next stuff mostly in the show notes, and so you can wrestle with it and see if there's things that you might want to pick and choose out of it. I somehow thought that I didn't need to know Python to understand this, and I knew Python enough to read it, but not to edit or even find glitches, and I'll talk to you how I overcame that a bit on learning with AI as my assistant on my shoulder. We did prompt engineering. Oh my gosh, prompt engineering. I've been doing it for a year plus, as many of you have, and I had no idea some of the basics and the fact that I was already doing a lot of this. That white paper is invaluable. I'll link that below in the show notes. I learned day 2 about embeddings and vectors. Wow, that was outside my knowledge base. I learned that they're essentially, you can pre-create linear vectors and multidimensional vectors between all the elements that you're going to then be digesting with an AI. Haven't used that yet. Intriguing concepts. The third day was looking at generative AI agents. I've been building agents, but kind of tinkering on this side. This helped me really think about agentic processes and some intermediate stages I'll talk about in a minute on my project. Looked at domain-specific large language models, LLMs, that you can have them for specific arenas. I was actually really interested on how I could do what's called groundings. I've been doing this, didn't know what it was, to add search into what you're having an AI do to be able to bring new information in or bring it in from databases or other work that you are tapping into. And then last, machine learning operations, ML ops and other things, how complicated this gets. If you're going to build it for you, one thing, build it for everyone, that's a whole other level of complexity that luckily I didn't dive into here. So what did I dive into? It's an interesting question. To me, it's an interesting question that I've been running a small creative company since 2006. And I have a decade plus of all sorts of files. I have a whole big research project I did with a major organization where we have, 100 interviews just there. I have 100 interviews that are part of 3 different podcasts about people's lives. And so they wanted us to build something that we could do in a week and a half, but to build then a tool. And I thought, I've got a big digital mess. I have a show that I adore that is on hiatus right now. Well, I've been thinking about these things. I've got all of these interviews of fabulous creative people, and I would love to be able to take them apart. I have them as a regular podcast where you can go enjoy them. I have them as video, as YouTube channels, which you can go enjoy. But I was really having the challenge of, what do I do with this? In my mind, I want to turn this into an ebook, an audio book, or even research about how people think and talk about their lives and what's in common. And I know there's great researchers doing this work. I have these things in all sorts of tools. So this is Riverside that I was subscribed to for a long time, where I could do matching video interviews and then have everything in sync. And then I would get transcriptions, and then all of this sat in their platform with their labeling and titling with some from me. I've been a longtime Otter user since they were nearly a baby, and I have a lot of recordings in Otter of all these podcasts, and they've transcribed them, and in with their AI, they've summarized them, and I can query them, but they're sitting in their system, separate from the things I've done with other tools and other platforms. That this is Atlas TI back years ago, I was trying to, in fact, I started with one of my podcasts already to try to use their visualization system to take things apart, and Deduce, which is another great platform that lets you take audio and transcriptions and then to be able to create patterns and research into it. This is a whole business. I wanted something that worked for me and my stuff, and that also that would give me things that I could then use in other platforms and projects. So that's what I built. I'll put that in loose quotes. So this is what I created, and it's a Kaggle notebook. It's under my name, and it's got a long title so people can find it, but it is doing transcription, summaries, and then looking at patterns and insights of the stories people tell about their careers and lives. And then it's exporting that into all sorts of image visualization tools, word clouds, and into formats that I can use with other things. And in it, it's also doing research. I know that's a long preamble. Let me take you to the project and some of the highlights, some of the lowlights, and things for you to think about if you're going to go on this journey, or if you're going to say, I'm going to actually try to start thinking about how to build this myself from lower level skills or moderate skills, some coding maybe, or just take it apart to play in the sandbox here. This is Kaggle. And so I have a space in Kaggle that I've signed up for, and I can have umpteen notebooks. I'm going to take you through just my notebooks, but you can have data in here. You can share data. You can even pick up data other people have put down and try to work with it so you don't have to have data all on your own. So this puppy is my baby. It has 25 code steps in it. And I then have a whole preamble about why I have this baby in here. So I tapped into 2 different large language model organizations. OpenAI has Whisper, and Gemini is in the Google family of adventures here. So I have a whole preamble up front as to what, and this is public. You can go take a look at it and see if there's anything you want to purloin out of it or think about from what, or giggle unmercifully behind your hand there. So what it does is it uses Whisper, and there's different models. So I use Tiny, trying to balance how fast things would go. Gemini 1.5 Pro, the latest edition, for summarizing, outlining, analyzing career steps, which was my play space in this. I use structured outputs to be able to create tags for narratives, markdown tables for text, summaries, CSVs, all sorts of different formats. Again, I want to figure out how to own this stuff and hold it myself. It created career frameworks. It created some interactive visualizations. Don't laugh when you get there. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make it better, but it's a little lumpy. And then a database that has all this stuff now living in it, coded and framed and connected, which was one of my big dreams for this. That is a zip file to download to put back into my other systems and manipulate and maneuver and do versions of this. For those of you who are thinking, she's going to walk us through this. No, you can go look at it yourself in the system. But it was one of those, it was like eating potato chips that you keep going and things get a little weirder as you go. Because you think, I'll just put A, B, and C together and they'll work. And they would conflict. The learning from this out of the long elements. How in the world did she do this if she didn't know Python? Well, in many cases, there's examples of some of this in Kaggle and other places. I went through the elements of going back to my wonderful Notebook LM that had a lot of the class materials. That wasn't as helpful as I would have liked. I went into Gemini itself and would bring codes in and then say, where is the error here? Here's my error message. Where is the error? And I was able to get feedback from that. And it taught me a lot going through this. My challenge with Gemini is that it, he, she, whatever you wanted to go with that, would not. So that's it from Future Gigi, coming to you from Hey Jen as an avatar Gigi. The future is looking bright and hopefully filled with fewer audio-related headaches. The Kaggle AI Intensive project is just the first step in my global conquest to tame the podcast beast and finally bring our audio archives into the AI age. Stay tuned for more tales of tech triumphs and likely a few more coffee-augmented mistakes along the way. Enjoy the Kaggle Notebook. You'll find the link in the show notes. And really think about, there's ways to organize what people say if you're a teacher, a coach, a researcher, or create podcasts about work and life. And don't be afraid to jump off the deep end, add tech skills, new coding projects, and other adventures to your life, no matter your age or your stage. Yes, even at 62. Enjoy the adventure.